Hello, good evening, welcome. This is Hot Edition. We're live from News about Desawe Kanda, also live on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and beyond. We're live on W93.5 in Wa and beyond this evening here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. A new pope has been elected as white smoke emerges from chimney of the Sistine Chapel on the second day of conclave. Who will it be? Will it be an African pope? Or to many, also looking across the world, we'll tell you details of that shortly. 120 days of broken promises, recycled failures, and cosmetic changes. That's the NPP's critique of the performance of the 4-month-old Mahama administration. Stay with us. We've got details for you here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7 Plus. Inspector General Police demands a clear roadmap outlining the dates and venues for the collation of election results as pressure mounts on the Electoral Commission to declare Ablekuma North parliamentary results. Remember, the Ablekuma North constituency is not represented in this 9th parliament. We've got details for you, plus the latest in business and sports for the next 1 hour 30 minutes. You're on a Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. And for now, let's settle for a summary of the news. Aisha Yakubu Khalid is here.
Minister for Education Haruna Idris was calling for calm and unity at the Dr. Hilary Mann Technical University. He says the ongoing labor agitations are undermining academic progress and stability on campus. The minister made the appeal during the inauguration of the new governing council of the university in Accra. Also, Ghanaian statesman and founding member of MPP, Dr. Nyao Tamaklu, has lauded President Mahama for fulfilling some of his 120-day social contract promise to Ghanaians. Speaking in an exclusive interview during the launch of his second book, he urged the president to take tougher measures in the fight against mining in forest reserves and water bodies. The Teachers and Educational Workers Union of the TUC, TUC, is threatening to disrupt operations at public universities in the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission, GTEC. Continues to engage in a rival group in the appointment of university governing councils. At a news conference in Accra, the General Secretary of TUC, King James Azotiba, issued a strong warning to GTEC. He said the Commission's ongoing engagement with the breakaway group TUGH in constituting university boards is unacceptable. Also, the Inspector General of Police has urged the Electoral Commission to provide a clear timetable and venues for collating election results, emphasizing that the police role is to maintain law and order, not to decide outcomes. This call comes amid tensions in Ablekuma North, where 3 polling stations remain uncollated, fueling disputes between NDC's Irabna Orbin and the NPP, while issues in the other constituencies like Akwetia and Sawamedwajiri and Domkwabinya have been resolved. Ablekuma North remains the key outstanding challenge, with past coalition efforts marked by confusion and disagreement. Finally, traders at Abosokai have indicated that it will take at least 3 months for the cedi's appreciation against the dollar to reflect in the cost of items. Recent gains made by the local currency have sparked hope among some business owners who are looking forward to its long-term impacts.
I shall appreciate you for this. There's more news on 3news.com. Make some time and visit 3news.com. This is Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. Also on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and beyond. We're live on W93.5 in Wa and beyond. Let's get into the stories right now. And this is some breaking news that we've been following quite closely and have been developing thick and fast over the last 15 minutes. Now, white smoke has risen above the Sistine Chapel, the signal that cardinals have chosen a new pope on the second day of conclave. His identity and the name he will take as pontiff will be revealed in the next few minutes ahead of us. Now, if you go on our Facebook page at 3FM927, we're showing you live videos from the Vatican, specifically the white smoke signaling the election of a new pope. If you recall, yesterday it was a black smoke that signaled that no pope had been elected at the time. Just some 20 minutes ago, we saw the white smoke billowing out of the chimney on the Sistine Chapel. So that is what is the signal that many across the world have been waiting for. And as we do know now, his identity and the name that he will take as pontiff will be revealed shortly when he is announced from the balcony. So stay with us. Cardinals took 2 days to select a new pontiff, matching the timeline from the previous two gatherings and suggesting that a leading candidate quickly impressed his peers during the secretive process. Francis and Benedict were both revealed in the evening of the conclave's second day, while John Paul II, the longest reigning pope of modern time, was also selected on the third day, sometime in 1978. So really, fundamental questions on the mind of many. How significant is the election of this new pope? And then also what the next process will be in the next few minutes ahead of us. But there's jubilation across the world, not just the Catholic population, but there's been that reflection of jubilation across the world, and we're monitoring it quite closely. If you go on our Facebook page at 3FM927, we'll show you. And there's been that clamor for some African cardinals who are in the Vatican, and that many say that this is probably the long shot African cardinals who could make papal history, and for them, for the many who've been doing the analysis, it's as close as ever, as the Catholic Church's College of Cardinals have now elected a pope. One of the most pressing questions is what part of the world that leader will come from. While Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle from the Philippines is considered to be a front runner, known for his affable style and karaoke skills, there has also been buzz about the possibility of an African pope. Now, the Catholic population has exploded on the continent, and an estimated over 20% of the world's Catholics live in Africa. So essentially, that's the reason why, for the many, this continuous conversation about the possibility of the 17 African cardinals at the Pope election, really, any of them could be up for that particular selection. So stay with us. And this is one that we're getting to shortly. But if you ask Africans who they would want as the next Pope, most would likely choose one of their own. And we here at 3FM have been doing a number of conversations as well and interactions with you, the members general public, and it tilts towards this particular direction. Yesterday, as we saw, a total of 133 cardinals who gathered in the conclave to elect the next pope today have elected the next pope. And however, 2 cardinals wrote to the Holy See declining attendance due to ill health. Of the 133 in the conclave, 17 of them are from Africa. The 133 who are in there right now, 17 of them are from Africa, representing countries like Algeria, Burkina Faso, Cape Verde, Central African Republic, Democratic Republic of Congo, Ethiopia, Ghana. We have our own there as well. One of the 17 cardinals who took part in this election of the new pope is a Ghanaian. We're talking about none other but Cardinal Apia Texan. We've been talking to him, and I will recall an interview that my colleague Kemene had with him prior to election 2024. We have a pope as well from Guinea, Ivory Coast, Kenya, Madagascar, Morocco, Nigeria, Rwanda, South Africa, South Sudan, Tanzania. They make up the 17 cardinals, part of the 133 in conclave. As we speak, the number would have been 18, but one Kenyan cardinal declined to attend. From the records of the Vatican, as we're reading now, the countries with the most electors are Italy. Italy has 17 of the cardinals, 133 cardinals, 17 of them are from Italy. The United States follows in that order with 10 cardinals. Brazil, 7. France and Spain have 5 each. Argentina, Canada, India, Poland, and Portugal have 4 cardinals. in the 133 in conclave as we speak. So that's what's happening right now. But let me give you an identity of these 17 cardinals we're talking about from various countries on the continent. Right now, Cardinal Fridolin Ambongo Besungu, 65-year-old from the Democratic Republic of Congo, is one of the most decorated cardinals from Africa. Many social media users and African Catholics believe that the current Archbishop of Kinshasa, who also serves as the elected head of African bishops under the Symposium of Episcopal Conferences of Africa and Madagascar, would be a fitting choice if the next pope were to come from Africa. But then again, there are others as well who are looking quite closely to the 58-year-old Dieudonné Nzabajandi, 58 years of age, from the Central African Republic. Will be watching closely the ongoing process to choose the next pope. Like everyone else, he can only wait for the next few minutes ahead of us. And as we speak right now, the new pope has just appeared on the balcony right now. And this is some breaking news coming through. The new pope has just walked out, and we're crossing over right now to hear the name of the new pope. And shortly we'll also have one who understands this entire process joining us on the telephone, the Most Reverend Osebonsu, immediate past president of the Ghana Catholic Bishops Conference and currently the Catholic Bishop of the Konongo Diocese in the Ashanti region, is going to be joining us. But let's cross over to the Vatican right now. Cardinal Dominique. That's the name that's coming in right now here on Hot Edition. And
Cardinalem Prevost. Qui sibi nomen imposuit Leonem decimum quartum.
It is Cardinal Dominique Namberti who is announcing the new pope right now. Let's cross over to the Vatican. the cheers from the crowd, thousands of people who have gathered as we speak, awaiting the announcement of the new Pope, the name that he will be occupying, that he has chosen. Remember that he has the ultimate liberty and the right to choose the name that he wants to be referred to while he reigns as Pope. And as we speak, for the benefit of those who are watching on Facebook right now, all the cardinals who took part in this election of the new Pope are at the balcony. And the new Pope, from what we're hearing now, is Robert Prevost from the United States of America. That is the breaking news right now. And that announcement shortly will be made, again repeated by the cardinals. 133 of them, a number of them have appeared at the balcony, including Cardinal Peter Appiah-Texin. He is there. If you go on our Facebook page, you see Cardinal Appiah-Texin. He's in the first row of the 5 cardinals out of the 133 who took part in the conclave. Cardinal Appiah-Texin is right in front, and the cameras have just zoomed in on him, much to the cheers and the applause of the thousands of people who have gathered there. So the new Pope, the breaking news coming from the Vatican, the new Pope is Robert Prevost from the United States of America. And as I indicated earlier, if you look at the rankings in terms of the total number of cardinals from specific countries, Italy has 17 with the highest number of cardinals, part of the 133 who took part in the conclave. The United States follows with 10 out of the 133. Brazil 7, France and Spain have 5 each. Argentina, Canada, India, Poland and Portugal have 4 cardinals represented in this conclave, 133 of them. As I indicated, the number of cardinals of African descent would have been 18, but one cardinal from Kenya declined to attend this conclave. So that's what we're doing now. 17 out of the 133 were cardinals from various African countries. So the breaking news is that Cardinal Robert Francis Prevost is the Pope-elect, as announced by the Vatican a few minutes ago. That is breaking news right now. If you go on our Facebook page at 3FM927, you'll see it right there. And all the 133 who took part in the conclave
being done,
the cardinals,
and what you see on your screen is the photograph, the full title of the new Pope, the very first American Pope, and he will be known as Pope Leo XIV. That is the name. Cardinal Robert Prevost from the U.S., the prefect of the dicastery for bishops, has chosen to be his papal name or papal name, depending on which part of the world you're coming from. He will be known as Pope Leo XIV. There you have it. America's very first, North America's very first Pope. Pope Leo the 14th. Let me pick this up quickly before Pope Leo appears on the balcony. He will appear in white, as is done for all other popes past, or as we've seen all other popes adorn. But Reverend is still here with us. Reverend, so we have our new Pope.
Immediate past
it lagged a little bit for us because the Latin was, it went above our heads. But then we found out it is Cardinal Robert Prevost, Francis Prevost. Your thoughts on it?
Yes. So as we have been talking about, the selection or the choice of popes is always extraordinary.
Most Reverend Osebonsu shortly,
I can
but we'll also have been joined by
amazing.
Father
This
Michael
man,
Kweku,
this
Director
new Pope,
of
this
Governance,
cardinal who has been
Justice and
chosen as the new
Peace
Pope,
for the
was
Catholic
created a
Bishops
Pope only
Conference
2
of the
years ago.
Republic
I
of
mean,
Ghana.
created a cardinal only 2 years
Thank you
ago.
so much,
And
Father,
as
for
the
joining
first,
us here
like
on
we
the
have
Hot
been
Edition.
saying, American Pope, born in Chicago.
Now,
But because he's
congratulations
in
to
the
you.
order
It's
of
an
St.
order,
Augustine,
and the
he
entire
worked mostly
Catholic
in
population
Peru.
in Ghana and beyond.
And today, as we have been talking about, is the
Wonderful. And now that we do know the identity of the new Pope, as has been announced, Cardinal Robert Francis Prevost from the United States of America, what happens after this point?
Well, now that the cardinal has been announced, he will be adored. Those of you who are already watching the television, he will be adored. He will come out, and then usually will give a greeting, express his gratitude, and if he wants to, he will ask for a blessing, prayers from people, as Pope Francis did, or he could give a short message. So from now on, it's basically the outdooring, and he greeting his faithful across the globe, and wishing them well, asking God to bless them because he will give a blessing. So it will be a short outdooring ceremony.
See, and we see him now at the balcony. As you indicated, he is standing at the balcony alone. A few minutes ago, we had the other cardinals who took part in the conclave, 133 of them lined up at the balcony. Now, the Pope-elect is standing at the balcony all by himself, flanked by some 2 other cardinals as well. Now, you indicated he's going to give a speech. Normally, what we have seen in previous instances is that when the speech is given, then the name is announced. Correct?
No, the name is announced first. The name is announced first. So the cardinal who came first, announces that we have a pope, and the Latin says we have a pope, and then his name is mentioned. His given name is mentioned, and then his name that he's taken for his papacy is given after. So he is called Robert Prevost, and he's taken Leo the 14th. So he would be, in terms of the succession of names, he would follow Leo the 13th, who would be the great figure in the Catholic Church for the Catholic social doctrines. So now that he's been announced, he will speak. He will speak to the whole world, Catholic and otherwise.
So you just got it right there. So the name to be known, he is to be known officially, is Pope Leo the 14th.
The 14th, yes.
Pope Leo the 14th, and this he chose by himself.
He chose this himself, yes. So every pope who is chosen has the right to choose a name, either his own Christian name, which he was baptized with, or another name that he prefers. But it always has to be Christian or that of a previous pope.
And just for some education, because he is, so essentially this is going to be the 14th pope going by the name Leo?
Yes. So there's Pope Leo the first, and 13 other popes before him who were called Leo. So he's the 14th pope who has taken the name Leo. That is why he's Leo the 14th. So there have been 13 other Leos before him. That is why he is the 14th.
Right, and we're going to cross over shortly, and Father, if you permit me, and kindly stay a bit further, we're going to cross over shortly to the Vatican, where the Pope Leo XIV is addressing the world right now.
Okay.
Questa è la pace di Cristo risorto, una pace disarmata e una pace disarmante, umile e perseverante. Proviene da Dio, Dio che ci ama tutti incondizionalmente. Ancora conserviamo nei nostri orecchi quella voce debole ma sempre coraggiosa di Papa Francesco che benediva Roma. Il Papa che benediva Roma dava la sua benedizione al mondo intero, quella mattina del giorno di Pasqua. Consentitemi di dar seguito a quella stessa benedizione. Dio ci vuole bene, Dio vi ama tutti e il male non prevarrà. Siamo tutti nelle mani di Dio. Pertanto, senza paura, uniti, mano nella mano con Dio e tra di noi, andiamo avanti. Siamo discepoli di Cristo. Cristo ci precede. Il mondo ha bisogno della sua luce. L'umanità necessita di Lui come il ponte per essere raggiunta da Dio e dal suo amore. Aiutateci anche voi, poi gli uni gli altri, a costruire ponti con il dialogo, con l'incontro, unendoci tutti per essere un solo popolo, sempre in pace. Grazie a Papa Francesco. Voglio ringraziare anche tutti i confratelli cardinali che hanno scelto me per essere successore di Pietro e camminare insieme a voi come Chiesa unita, cercando sempre la pace, la giustizia, cercando sempre lavorare come uomini e donne fedeli a Gesù Cristo, senza paura, per proclamare il Vangelo, per essere missionari. Sono un figlio di Sant'Agostino, agostiniano, che ha detto: con voi sono cristiano e per voi vescovo. In questo senso possiamo tutti camminare insieme verso quella patria la quale Dio ci ha preparato. Alla Chiesa di Roma un saluto speciale. Dobbiamo cercare insieme come essere una Chiesa missionaria, una Chiesa che costruisce i ponti, il dialogo, sempre aperta a ricevere, come questa piazza con le braccia aperte, a tutti coloro che hanno bisogno della nostra carità, la nostra presenza, il dialogo, l'amore. Y se me permiten también una palabra, un saludo a todos aquellos, y en modo particular a mi querida diócesis de Chiclayo en el Perú, donde un pueblo fiel ha acompañado a su obispo, ha compartido su fe y ha dado tanto para seguir siendo iglesia fiel de Jesucristo. A tutti voi, fratelli e sorelle, di Roma, d'Italia, di tutto il mondo, vogliamo essere una chiesa sinodale, una chiesa che cammina, una chiesa che cerca sempre la pace, cerca sempre la carità, cerca sempre di essere vicino specialmente a coloro che soffrono. Oggi, il giorno della supplica alla Madonna di Pompei, nostra Madre Maria vuole sempre camminare con noi, stare vicino, aiutarci con la sua intercessione e il suo amore. Allora vorrei pregare insieme a voi. Preghiamo insieme per questa nuova missione, però per tutta la Chiesa, per la pace nel mondo, e chiediamo questa grazia speciale di Maria, nostra Madre. Ave Maria, piena di grazia, il Signore è con te. Tu sei benedetta fra le donne e benedetto è il frutto del tuo seno, Gesù. Santa Maria, Madre di Dio, prega per noi peccatori, adesso e nell'ora della nostra morte. Amen.
So, as expected, that is the first speech of the newly elected Pope Leo XIV, and we'll get a summary of what he said. So that's to put it on record, even though he is a cardinal from the United States, many of our listeners and our viewers on Facebook were expecting that he will speak English. But Father, it appears when you go to Rome, you do what the Romans do, is it not? You have to speak Italian. So
you would expect that, because of course the Pope, in addition to being the head of the Catholic Church, is the Pope, is the Bishop of Rome. So the Pope is the Bishop of Rome. So how could you possibly be the Bishop of Rome when you cannot speak the language of your people?
Absolutely.
So there's a reason for it, yes. But of course, he himself, before he was elevated to being the Pope, was the cardinal prefect of the dicastery of bishops. So he's been working in Rome. So he has mastery, enough of the Italian language.
Well, that's pretty clear, and it's very fluent in there. But just a brief summary of what he said, which many of our listeners, don't understand, but I know you do. So, just a summary of the first speech of the Pope elect.
Okay. Well, the first speech basically comprised of his gratitude to God, who had deemed him worthy of this high office. He thanked his brother cardinals who also thought that he could take up the place of the see of Peter, but he also thanked his predecessor Francis for all he did for the church, but also for his blessings, especially the last one he gave on Easter Sunday before he died. He then encouraged everyone who was there to move ahead in courage and not in fear, to be disciples of our Lord Jesus Christ, missionaries, every man, every woman, every child, to go in the courage of our Lord Jesus Christ to become a missionary. But he also said that he was envisioning a church that builds bridges and to make itself available to those who need her, so that it will be a church which opens her arms to those who are most in need and those who need to hear the gospel of our Lord Jesus Christ. And then he also addressed his people in Peru, because he used to be a bishop in Peru. As an Augustinian missionary, he went there and he was made a bishop, so he spoke to them as well, thanking them for every experience he had there. And then in the end, he also, as it were, entrusted all of us to the maternal intercession of the Blessed Virgin Mary, so that we will all be faithful to the mission of our Lord Jesus Christ. So basically, that was what his first address to us was.
And we're learning now that the Pope-elect, U.S. Cardinal Robert Prevost,
Yes.
is the first pontiff to have been elected as Pope from the United States.
Yes. So he's the very first from the United States of America.
I see.
So previous is very, very fast. So it is news on many levels than one.
Absolutely, and that brings another dimension to the conversation. Having been the first elected Pope from the United States in history. I mean, how significant is this? What does it mean, from what you said?
Well, most people would say that America is the powerhouse on many levels. The political powerhouse. It might be even the economic powerhouse, and the powerhouse on other levels. So one wouldn't have easily thought that the spiritual headquarters was also going to go there. But well, God's ways are not our ways. So most pundits would have ruled out an American pope, but God is able to do exceedingly more than we can imagine or even think of. So yes, it is news because people would have thought otherwise. They would have looked at the possibility of another Italian pope, or a pope from Africa or from Europe or anywhere else, only because of some of the variables I've already said. But the cardinals and God, I'm sure, we're not looking at some of these variables. They are looking at somebody who they believe will be able to lead God's people in this time and this day and age.
And critical point you make, but obviously you cannot rule out the other dynamics that may be outside of the religious analysis, because you made reference to it, but then again from the perspective of the tradition and the religious processes that were employed, essentially, and looking up to God, maybe the matters of the United States being an economic powerhouse and all the geopolitics around this, probably from your analysis may not play a major role. But then if you expand the tentacles of this conversation a bit, you would also not rule out how geopolitics also plays a role in the politics, so-called, of the election of the Pope, is it not?
Well, I mean, it is not politics as the world understands it. Well, of course, as human beings, we are political animals, because politics is as you know, it comes from the Greek. It's just the management of the polis, the management of the city or the people. So it is the management of a people, and they've come from various backgrounds. So they would have to know each other, but not in the sense of, say, lobbying just for the sake of power. That would be the difference. Here it would be knowledge of somebody who would be the most suited for this time. So that would be, if you want, the dominant variable in the minds of the electing cardinals. and not merely issues of power or dominance. So of course, definitely conversations, about what the church has to be doing now, where it is going, would come. But and so who would be more suited would be in people's head, but who would be more suited not in terms of geopolitics, but who would be more suited as to somebody who, on one hand, will be a faithful the disciple of our Lord Jesus Christ, carrying out what has been revealed by our divine master in scripture and in tradition. So that should be the thinking and then the priority of the electing cardinals, and not merely issues of geopolitics.
Well, but maybe finally, before I let you go, Reverend Father Michael Kwaku, the late Pope Francis was clear from the beginning of his papacy about how he wanted to lead the church for as long as he remained Pope. Is there any clear signal from the newly elected Pope, statements he's made in the past, and in that position he occupied before today, which gives you a signal of what is going to influence his leadership as Pope for the next number of years ahead?
I'm sure the historians and those who are interested in such stuff will dig into his past, remote and otherwise. But from what he said today, if that is anything to go by, his vision is a missionary church. His vision is a church which is faithful to Christ. His vision is a church that builds bridges. I think that is the kind of papacy that he has, at least in his first address, giving us a picture of. So we hope that it will what he actually does or says in the days and the years to come will commensurate this initial vision. But for anyone who knows some of these matters, I think if people's disciplines, which they have studied, have anything to go by, well, he is a canon lawyer like myself, but he's also a missionary. So you would expect that as a church lawyer, he would understand the place of the law in making sure that there's both church discipline and also justice, to make sure that there's discipline within the church, but also justice within the church's various relations. So we hope that he will be a pope who is directed not only by justice, but also by mercy, because that is the God we serve. He's a God of justice, but also a God of mercy, so that he will be one who is a mature blend of justice and mercy in wanting to be a faithful disciple of our Lord Jesus Christ, bringing all of us together and following our Lord to be faithful missionaries.
And I do appreciate your thoughts on this. Thank you so much. Reverend Father Michael Kwaku, Executive Director of Governance, Justice and Peace Directorate at the Ghana Bishops Conference, Catholic Bishops Conference, Ghana. Thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure.
And congratulations to you once again. Let me give you the ambience at the Vatican right now. And it's all joy, not only for the Catholic community, but everyone across the world watching how things are playing out at the Vatican. If you're just joining us here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7, also on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale, we're live on W93.5 in Wa and beyond. Robert Francis Prevost has been elected as the Pope for the Catholic Church worldwide with the name Pope Leo XIV. Pope Leo XIV. There's a history to this, and as our resource person, Reverend Father Michael Kwaku, just indicated, all popes, when elected, they have the liberty of choosing the name they want to be known by while they serve as the lead servant for the Catholic Church. So Pope Leo is the 14th Pope to be known by the name Leo. So we know that's why it's called Pope Leo XIV. A bit of history to the popes, the 13 other popes who took the name Leo, going back as far back as 1461. Pope Leo I, also known as Leo the Great, was Bishop of Rome from 29 September 440 until his death. He is the first of the three popes listed in the Annuario Pontificio with the title the Great, alongside Popes Gregory I and Nicholas I. Pope Leo I was a Roman aristocrat. He is perhaps best known for his many writings and influence as far back as 1452, and persuading him to take back from his invasion of Italy, and many others that he influenced in terms of not just leading the Catholic Church, but also contributing to governance and essentially peace and development within his era. There are many writings that also point to how, during his period as Pope, he led the growth of the Catholic Church worldwide. It stands to reason why this particular name has also been chosen by the new Pope, or the Pope-elect, Robert Francis Prevost. And a brief history before we bring in our next guest on this. This is very important, and it's also one that has to be underscored, that here in Ghana, we followed the process quite closely for good reason, even as much as many were expecting that at least an African Pope would be named. But then again, that hurdle or that bridge has been crossed. Now all Catholics across the world are coming together in unity to support the newly elected Pope. Now, U.S. Cardinal Robert Prevost elected the new leader of the Roman Catholic Church, taking the name Pope Leo XIV, after serving as missionary and archbishop in Peru. The newly elected Pope presided over one of the most revolutionary reforms of Pope Francis's pontificate, adding 3 women to the voting bloc that decides which bishop nominations to forward to the Pope. So that's one of the groundbreaking revolutionary reforms that the late Pope Francis will be remembered for, adding 3 women to the voting bloc that decides which bishop nominations to forward to the Pope. In fact, from what we're reading now, the late Pope Francis brought this Pope-elect right now, Robert Francis Prevost, Pope Leo XIV, 69 years of age, to the Vatican in 2023 to serve as the powerful head of the office that vets bishop nominations from around the world, one of the most important jobs in the Catholic Church. As a result, the newly elected Pope enjoyed a provenance going into the conclave that few other cardinals had. And this is why I bring in our next guest, the Most Reverend Osei Bonsu, immediate past president of the Ghana Catholic Bishops' Conference, currently the Catholic Bishop of the Konongo Diocese in the Ashanti region. Most Reverend Osei Bonsu, thank you for joining us here on Hot Edition.
Thank you. Let me make 2 corrections. I'm not the immediate past president. There was one after me, a Bishop Name, and the Bishop Jensen now. And then, regards to the diocese, what did you say?
The Konongo.
It's Konongo Mampong Diocese.
Konongo Mampong Diocese.
Correct.
Thank you so much. Most Reverend Osei Bonsu, past president of the Ghana Catholic Bishops' Conference and Catholic Bishop of the Konongo Mampong Diocese.
Emeritus Bishop.
Emeritus Bishop.
Konongo Mampong.
I thank you so much. And congratulations to you and to the Catholic Church in Ghana and beyond is in order at a time like this, is it not?
Okay, thank you.
First off, hearing the election of the new Pope, the first from the United States of America, how does all of this strike you from what you do know, leading the Catholic Church in this, the Catholic Bishops' Conference in this country, and how the global affairs also influences this particular development today?
Yeah. The Pope is there for all Catholics, all the 1.4 billion Catholics. And so when the Pope is elected, naturally, we are all excited. It's somebody that most people may not know. But he was in charge of the dicastery where they appointed bishops for Europe and America. In Africa, I have a different dicastery. And so many of the bishops who were there would have known him because he would have processed their papers and so on. And so, but whoever is appointed, the main thing is that he does his work well.
And you talked about he being known because of the office he occupied, that which has been described as the powerful head of the office that vets bishops' nominations from around the world.
Yes.
One of the most important jobs in the Catholic Church, is it not?
Yes. So many of the bishops from Europe and America, he would have processed their papers, so they will certainly know of him. And there's a different dicastery, as I said, for Africa and Asia. But so they would have known him, so it would have been known to many of the cardinal electors.
Now, well, there are some writings that describe one strike against him being his nationality, and there has long been some conversation about a U.S. Pope giving the geopolitical power already wielded by the United States in the secular sphere. How does that play out in things now?
No, for me, that is not a big issue, because the issue you are Pope, you are not Pope for the U.S. You are Pope for the whole church. And of course, you wouldn't even be residing in America. You'll be in Rome. So for me, that is not an issue. It's what you do as Pope, your relations with people, and so that's what is important. But being an American, it doesn't mean, even America is a powerful country, that's not going to influence anything.
But at least based on this office he occupied before today, you would say he enjoyed some prominence going into the conclave that few other cardinals had, is it not?
Yes, that one I would admit, yes. Yes.
And
so you'd have been known by most of the cardinals from Europe and America.
And could have in any way influenced at least some favor for him?
I'm sure it did. If you are going to have an election, there are so many candidates, and there's somebody you know. The tendency is that you will vote for him rather than somebody that you don't know at all. So I think that certainly would have played a part.
And the late Pope Francis was, from the beginning, in fact, even before he was elected Pope, was quite clear of his papacy about how he wanted to lead the church. And knowing Pope Leo XIV in his previous capacity, would you say that from where you sit, you have some pointers as to the direction and the vision he's going to lead the church?
Yes, I think so. From his choice of name, he has chosen the name Leo XIV, which means that he's looking back at his predecessor, Leo XIII. And Leo XIII was the Pope. He came out with an encyclical, Rerum Novarum, 1891, and that addressed the rights and conditions of workers, private property, socialism, and responsibilities of employers and governments. And so I'm sure that by choosing that name, you'll be following that path. Okay, so you will think about workers and private property and all that kind of thing.
I see. But and also for us here in Ghana, what would be, for the lack of better expression, expectations of the new Pope going forward?
Well, I think we look up to a Pope who is firm on doctrine, but then also reaches out to those on the margins, those on the peripheries, like Pope Francis used to say. And so, we can be said to be on the peripheries, and so we expect that he will look out for countries like that, Ghana and other poor countries in the world.
And do you expect that, and this is if there's any history to a continuity in the vision of previous popes, so that the newly elected Pope Leo XIV would also continue on the path of some of the very meaningful, far-reaching interventions of the late Pope. Is it one to expect? Is there any history of the predecessor also having his successor continue the vision that he started?
Not always. Certain things are basic, and so he would do them. But by the choice of the name that he has adopted, that tells you that you'll be in the line of the 13th that I've said. To be concerned about workers and those who are marginalized and so on. Well, very much like Pope Francis, he spoke about people on the periphery. So I think it will be something similar. But I think his main interest will be on Leo the 13th, what he did for workers in his day.
Emeritus, thank you so much for your thoughts on this, and I wish you well, and congratulations to you and the entire Catholic Church. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
And have a good one. So there you have it, a lot more. Emeritus Professor Osei Bonsu, immediate past, in fact, he is, I beg your pardon, the past president of the Ghana Catholic Bishops Conference and currently the Catholic Bishop of the Konongo Mampong Diocese in the Ashanti region. What you're hearing is the joy in the Vatican. This is Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7, also on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and on W93.5 in Wa. 6 p.m. as the time reaches in the studio. We're back shortly with the business news after this quick break. Stay with us here on Hot Edition. We'll be back shortly.
Are the beacons of our lives, guiding us through life's challenges with their selfless love, tireless dedication, and unwavering support. As we celebrate Mother's Day, TV3 and 3FM in partnership with Airport View Hotel invite you to a celebration of motherhood at Dining with Mama, happening on the 11th of May 2025 at 12 p.m. at the Avi Event Center in Airport Residential. Get carried away by live band music, a sumptuous buffet lunch, refreshing drinks, thrilling games, exciting giveaways, and amazing performances by PSA Esther, MOG Music, Max Praise, and Reynolds the Gentleman. Treat your mom like royalty and make her feel like the queen she is at the TV3 and 3FM Dining with Mama lunch event on the 11th of May at the Avi Event Center near Airport View Hotel in Airport Residential from 12 p.m. Grab your tickets now by calling or texting us on 0247 120633 or 0532 200 927 or 0531 100
FM.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to the business segment on Hot Edition with me, Bismarck Ausa. Coming up tonight, CD emerges world's best performing currency in April after appreciating by almost 16% against the dollar amid inflation decline to 8-month low. Thanks for your company. Now to the detail. The CD has staged a remarkable comeback, becoming the world's best performing currency this month after appreciating nearly 16% against the US dollar since the start of April. The currency's rally has helped ease inflationary pressures, with consumer price inflation falling to its lowest level in 8 months. The following 3 Business News Desk report has the details. The cedi is making headlines for all the right reasons. According to Bloomberg data, the local currency has outpaced all others globally this April, appreciating by close to 16% against the US dollar. This surge has delivered major economic relief, helping to slow inflation to 21.2% in April from 22.4% in March, the lowest since August last year. Government statistician Alhassan Idrisu credited the currency's strength for easing import costs, which in turn reduced the pressure on food and non-food prices. Food inflation fell to 25%, while non-food inflation dipped to 17.9%. The cedi's rally also helped slow monthly price increases to just 0.8%. Despite the progress, analysts say the Bank of Ghana is unlikely to cut interest rates just yet, with concerns lingering over potential price shocks from utility hikes. The central bank had raised its policy rate to 28% in March, and may wait for more signs of sustained disinflation before making any move. The IMF, however, remains optimistic that Ghana is on course to meet its inflation targets, calling the cedi's strength a positive sign in the country's path to recovery. And that was a 3 Business News Desk report on the cedi emerging world's best performing currency in April after appreciating by almost 16% against the dollar amid inflation decline to 8-month low. Now to some other story. The Ghana Statistical Service has recommended that government maintain policy interventions aimed at reducing inflation to safeguard the economic well-being of low-income earners. Speaking of the recent positive trends in inflation figures, government statistician Dr. Alhassan Idrisu emphasized the critical need for government to sustain macroeconomic stability and continue implementing pro-poor safety net interventions. Dr. Idrisu noted that while recent data indicates a downward trajectory in inflation, consistent efforts are required to ensure these gains are not reversed.
Government over the past years has strengthened its social intervention programs, including the LEAP program, the capitation grant, the school feeding program, the National Health Insurance program. And for 2025, we have seen some new social intervention programs introduced from the education sector, particularly, and also from the health sector. We are urging government to continue to enhance these social intervention programs to protect the real incomes of the poor and then the vulnerable. Yes, we are seeing some downward trends in inflation, but inflation at 21.2% is still high, and we have to do everything possible to bring it down to single-digit inflation. We also are recommending that we need to monitor supply chains and food markets closely, especially high inflation commodities like the ginger we saw, beans, and then vegetable oil. And then we also need to fast-track the implementation of the Agriculture for Transformation program to reduce food inflation, particularly on vegetables, tubers, plantains, which has a high weight of 9.5 in the CPI basket.
Dr. Alhassan Idrisu is the government statistician. Now, a professor of statistics, Nicholas Insowa-Nyama, is calling on the government and stakeholders to explore geological agriculture as an innovative solution to Ghana's twin challenges of illegal mining, galamsey, and youth unemployment. Geological agriculture involves growing crops directly in crushed rocks and mineral-rich geological materials, completely eliminating the need for traditional soil or synthetic fertilizers. He was speaking at a global virtual conference on geological agriculture hosted by the Dominion University College.
Why is it so important? It's important because this, you train the person already. While training the person is still working. And so by the time the training finishes, there's something, the output, and that is the crop already bearing fruits. And that is the reason why we think that government should spend some more money training people, training the youth. And it doesn't cost much. One, you don't need the land, you don't need finances. All that you need is the training. Rocks are available.
And that was a professor of statistics, Nicholas Insowa-Nyama. Meanwhile, executive chairman of the Dominion University College, Professor Felix Nikoy Hammond, criticized the continued use of chemical fertilizers and outdated methods like bush burning.
Then the biggest problem when it comes to Africa and Ghana is the land tenure problems, where there are litigations everywhere. And so farmers are not able to farm because they don't have access to land because of litigation. So we need really to look at alternatives. We need really to be thinking beyond the traditional and conventional approach. And to that extent, this particular collaboration between GeoAg and Dominion University is a path out of the conventional ways of thinking.
And that was executive chairman of the Dominion University College, Professor Felix Nikoy Hammond. And that will be all for the business segment on Hot Edition with me, Bismarck Ausa. For more business stories, please check out our website at streamnews.com. Thanks for your company.
Hello, good evening and welcome to the sports segment here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. My name is Ore Kwampofo and we'll be touching on a number of issues with the Under-20 AFCON ongoing, and then we'll also head to Europe where we would talk about the upcoming Europa League and Conference League as well. But first...
That elusive goal still working forward. Here is Opoku! Opoku stabs the ball past the goalkeeper Malimoto. And the substitute gets the goal that sent Ghana into raptures with only minutes left to play here at the Suez Canal Stadium. He persevered.
That was the goal scored by Joseph Opoku to give Ghana a much-needed victory against Central Africa in the Under-20 African Cup of Nations. The win means that Ghana top Group C with 7 points and would now face either Zambia or Tunisia in the next round of the competition. Black Satellite's Aziz Issa, who was adjudged the most valuable player in the game, has emphasized the importance of the 3 points to the Black Satellites.
Thank you. It was a difficult game. It was a difficult game though, but we managed to pick the win. We knew it was going to be a tough game because they need a point to qualify. They need a win to qualify, and we also need a point. Although we have qualified, but we need a point or a win to top the group. So we know it's going to be a difficult game, but we thank God we got the win at that minute.
We stay with the Black Lions because the team faced Central Africa without key man Jerry Afriye, who has been one of Ghana's influential players under Desmond Ofei, returned to his club side CD Lugo after participating in Ghana's opening 2 games against DR Congo and Senegal. Now, as initially agreed between the Spanish third-tier side and the GFA, the 18-year-old striker has returned to Spain. However, head coach of the Black Lions, Desmond Ofei, says he's expecting Afriye to return to the team before the tournament concludes.
Jerry is an incredible talent. Everybody knows what he gives the team on and off the pitch. He's a true leader, incredible guy. We knew that it was going to be quite difficult to get Jerry in the beginning of the tournament. Luckily, we were lucky to get him for 2 games. So for now, the boys know, and the boys knew as well that he was going to come and play 2 games. And after, hopefully, we'll try and get him back at the right time to come and help the team. So hopefully we'll not miss him for too long. So we expect Jerry to join us very, very soon. But we're going to make him proud and we're going to fight for him in his absence. So.
Let's do some more here and turn our attentions to athletics because Ghana's relay team will be participating in the upcoming World Athletics Relays, which is scheduled to take place in China. Ghana's relay team, led by Joseph Paul Amwa, Sean Safuentri, Ibrahim Fuseni, Barnabas Agye and Mustafa Bukbin will be hoping to secure a spot at the World Championship when the event takes flight on Saturday and Sunday. 3 Sports will keep you posted across our social media platforms, and so you do want to follow our account at 3 Sports GH on X, Facebook and Instagram. Meanwhile, in Europe, Manchester United are on the cusp of reaching a first Europa League final since 2016. The Red Devils, who currently lead Athletic Club 3-0 from the first leg of their semi-final, have all but secured their spot in the Europa League final despite their underwhelming domestic form. United remain the only unbeaten side in Europe this term after 13 games, winning 8 and drawing 5. Now, despite United's brilliance in Europe, head coach Ruben Amorim says the team's poor domestic form eclipses any achievement.
I think you have to see the quotes in the moment, so things can change. And for me, in that moment, and if you look to Premier League, I think we are the worst. Since I arrived, we are the worst team in terms of the results in Premier League. That is my idea. In the end of this season, we can be the worst team in Premier League in history with a European title, so we will not change nothing. We know that this season was really disappointed for everybody. Nothing is going to change. So in that moment, sometimes I have to think a little bit more, but I felt that, and I still feel that this season was the worst in the, I don't know in history, but for sure in the last, 50 years.
Finally, before we go, Aaron Wan-Bissaka has been selected to join Democratic Republic of Congo, the national team, for the upcoming international friendlies in June. Wan-Bissaka previously made a brief appearance for DR Congo under 20 side in 2015, demonstrating his early ties to the nation before opting to represent England at various youth levels. His decision to join the senior DR Congo squad highlights a pivotal shift in his international career. That's all that time would allow us for here on Hot Edition sports segment with me, Ore Kwampofo. The show continues right after this break.
7.1 and on W93.5 in Wa and beyond. To some more stories here on Hot Edition on 3 FM 92.7. Now, while challenges in constituencies like Akwatia, Nsoma Dredri and Dom Kwabenya have been resolved through recollation court orders, amongst others, Ablekuma North constituency stands as the last hurdle. Inspector General of Police is demanding on the Electoral Commission to provide a clear roadmap outlining the dates and venues for the collation of election results, stressing that the police will not in any way be arbiters of election outcomes, but only enforcers of the law and order. His remarks were made during a meeting with the National Election Security Task Force, and concerns over the collation process in the Ablekuma North constituency was raised. In the case of Ablekuma North, 3 more polling stations remain to be collated, a delay that has raised tensions between supporters of the NDC Serabna Obin and also the NPP. Now, previous collation attempts have been marred by confusion and disagreements. Here's the IGP on the next phase of Ablekuma North constituency results collation.
The eyes of the nation and indeed the world are upon us to see how we manage this situation. Our task is both singular and profound to ensure that the collation process is conducted in peace, fairness, and full compliance with the law. We as security agencies are not arbiters of election results. That responsibility lies solely with the Electoral Commission. We have to secure the environment within which the truth is determined, not to decide the outcome of ourselves. I would urge the EC to provide the National Election Security Task Force with a roadmap with respect to date and place for the finalization of the collation. Colleagues, history often reflects on nations tested by pivotal moments. This is such a moment. The way we handle the situation in Ablekuma North will resonate across the country. It will set the tone not only for this election, but also for public confidence in the years to come. Let us secure not just ballot boxes, but also believe in the system. Let us protect not just physical lives, but the spirit of democracy. Let us stand firm, not in confrontation, but in conviction. Ghana deserves nothing less. Thank you, and may wisdom guide us throughout this process. The eyes of the nation and indeed the world are upon us to see how we manage this situation. History often reflects on nations tested by pivotal moments. This is such a moment. The way we handle the situation in Ablekuma North will resonate across the country.
As the IGP there. Samuel Tete is Deputy Chair of the Electoral Commission in charge of operations, also shared his thoughts about the proposal and the demand by the Ghana Police Service of a roadmap from the Electoral Commission.
On the 7th of December, we all went to the polls. Results were declared. Unfortunately, 12 constituencies were outstanding. However, the Commission was able to conclude the collation processes for 11 out of the outstanding 12 constituencies. There have been various attempts to conclude the Ablekuma North parliamentary constituency, which is the one outstanding. Like the Inspector General of Police said, we've had a series of engagements with the police service to give the Commission adequate security to enable the Commission conclude the collation process for the Ablekuma North constituency. In our latest letter to the IGP and the National Election Security Task Force, a meeting has been scheduled for today for us to discuss the roadmap, as the IGP rightly said, to enable the commission conclude the collation of the Ablik-Manov constituency. We hope that as a commission, as we engage each other over here, we will actually have solutions to the challenges that we've actually had so far as the conclusion of the Ablik-Manov collation process is concerned.
That's Samuel Tete, Deputy Director, that's left to Commissioner in charge of operations for the Electoral Commission. So live here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. Now, it's been 120 days that President John Dramani Mahama has been in office. For the MPP, they say it's one of broken promises, recycled failure, and cosmetic changes. That's the MPP's verdict. At a news conference in Accra, the party's parliamentary caucus criticized President Mahama's 120-day performance report, accusing him of abandoning the bold reformist agenda he promised during his campaign and instead delivering what they describe as a recycled failure. But first, let's take a listen to the president, specifically on the fight against corruption and what he's going to do next with respect to the investigations into the National Cathedral project.
A cornerstone of our commitment to good governance and accountability is tackling corruption and eliminating waste. I promise to initiate inquiries and forensic audits into several critical matters of public interest. This war against corruption continues unabated. The Minister for Health is reviewing the Auditor General's report on the COVID-19 expenditures. After the review, the appropriate actions will be taken. The Sputnik V scandal is under investigation. The Minister for Finance has launched an inquiry into the collapse of indigenous banks and financial institutions. And make no mistakes, facts will be unearthed, culprits will be punished, and lessons will be learned. The Minister for Energy and Green Transition has commenced investigations into the PDS scandal. Deloitte and Touche is conducting an independent audit of the National Cathedral project. I expect their report by the end of this month. A number of officials have been invited and questioned concerning the 13th African Games. On April 30th, 2025, the Attorney General filed 11 charges against a former National Signals Bureau Director General and others for various offenses. Charges will also be filed in the Accra SkyTrain and the National Service Ghost Name scandals.
That's the president there. But for Alexander Afenyo-Markin, who addressed the press, he dismissed the achievements as cosmetic, arguing that they failed to address Ghana's deep-rooted challenges, such as economic hardship, mass unemployment, and stalled governance reforms.
Fellow Ghanaians, it's not a matter of political disagreement. It is a matter of deliberate national deception. And as you are well aware, this is not just a speech. It is a call to remembrance and resistance. It is a forensic audit of the presidency that campaigned with the agency of a reformer, but now governs with the indifference of a ruler long exhausted by ideas. I dare say that the lame dark days of President John Dramani Mahama has already started. Today, let it be said plainly to every Ghanaian, you were not given a reset, you were sold a recycled failure, and now the clock has run out. Accountability must take center stage. Unreliable power supply, what I call Doomsday Pro Max, is unfolding. Leadership is action, not endless lamentation and blame game. Mr. President, NDC government, bring back our lights. You were not elected to lament. You were elected to do the work and fix the lights and fix the problem. You promised in your sonar that you were going to fix the problem. You are not fixing the problems, fix the problems. The rivers continue to run red. The forests are gashed open. And the president who accused Nana Akufo-Addo's administration of inaction on illegal mining and promised decisive action offers excuses. The government's inaction on illegal mining is not just disappointing, it is a betrayal. While in opposition, the NDC loudly declared that if elected, they would impose a state of emergency to confront Galamsey head-on. But 120 days into the government, not only have they failed to do so, that they have completely abandoned the agency they once preached. Illegal mining continues to devastate our rivers, poison our land, and displace entire communities. The promised state of emergency has vanished, replaced by silence and inaction, while the sector minister sheds crocodile tears.
Well, that's Alexander Afenyo-Markin there. I said this morning on 3news.com. Make some time and visit 3news.com. Also, join me at 10 p.m. on TV3 for Ghana Tonight. On behalf of the rest of the team, we do appreciate your company. I am Alfred Ocansey. Do have a great evening. The drive continues.